Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Bouzaid, or as most of you know me, Libi. So I wanted to make this video in a month's time when I'm back in Libya to give you a first-hand insight about the actual situation there. But since the topic is hot at the moment with the UK's decision to process asylum seeker applications in Rwanda, I thought we'd benefit more from the coverage. So we've all heard about the Rwanda scheme and seen the controversy around it. But should we take a step back and ask ourselves a question? Could this be the beginning of a series of legislations made by EU countries to cut down on processing asylum seeker applications? Meaning, would we see more EU countries resorting to the same laws and measures as the UK? Because if that's the case, it may be more disastrous than we think. Let's look at it from Libya's point of view. According to this EU assessment published in January of this year, there are more than 600,000 migrants in Libya at the moment. But as Libya is a transit country according to the EU, meaning most of the people who come to Libya do not intend to stay there and they're probably headed to Europe. But shall we put this number into context? So according to the World Bank, there are currently 2.86 million refugees in Europe, and they're mostly distributed between these 9 countries. The smallest economy in that lineup is Greece, with a GDP of $203 billion a year. That's almost 8-fold that of Libya, which is $25 billion a year. And it hosts 103,000 refugees at the moment. These 600,000 people are currently stuck in the death loop. What is the death loop? Allow me to explain. Here's Libya on the map, and here's the 2,300 kilometer southern border where most migrants come through. By the way, this is almost the distance from the west coast of France to Kiev in Ukraine. And it's an absolute arid desert, as no one lives on the border. Before the uprising and NATO intervention to overthrow Gaddafi in 2011, the border patrol had many military stations throughout, and units would patrol back and forth between these stations to secure the border. But after 2011, the political instability, the border patrol force lost funding and therefore diminished. Then the human trafficking cartels took advantage of this and basically launched a large-scale smuggling operation that's still operating today. And after smuggling people in, they would then put those who pay on rafts headed to Europe. So when these guys first arrive at Libya, they have little to absolutely no humanitarian aid offered to them, neither do they get shelter. Put yourself in that situation. What would you do if you were in their shoes? Who would you resort to? Most of them, in an attempt to avoid being caught by the authorities, they would resort to staying at the traffickers' holding facility, where they would get exploited, raped, abused, or even killed. And whoever manages to survive that brutality, you would tend to go and find an absolutely underpaid job to accumulate $1,200 to pay to the same traffickers to put them on a raft or a boat headed to Europe. Now, do you remember the underfunded border patrol? Well, it's not the same case with the Coastal Guard. There have been articles and news showing that some EU countries have paid the Libyan coast guards to intercept these boats and rafts before they leave the Libyan regional waters, as if it's even possible with the quality of these boats. All this to stop the international search and rescue units from bringing them back to Europe. Now to the big question that most of us are asking. Why doesn't the Libyan government intervene and stop this? Well, firstly, the government could barely provide electricity and there are blackouts every single day, let alone fight the cartels and gangs. They do not even have full control of their forces. Although there is no official civil war going on at the moment, but clashes between armed groups occur regularly. This video was filmed in the heart of Tripoli, which is the capital of Libya, about 2 weeks ago. So in other words, depending on the Libyan government is like beating a dead horse. Literally. So is there no solution? Are they just going to be left like this? Of course there is, or at least an effort that could be done to better their situation. Before proposing a solution, we need to keep something in mind. As long as these people's countries remain being unstable and keep being exploited, the flow of migrants will not stop, no matter how much EU countries try to deter it. Nonetheless, the solution we're proposing is setting up a temporary processing camp. So we've drafted up a petition on change.org to the UN. I know what you're going to say. Another petition. Well, sadly, if there's no pressure from the international community, nothing's gonna change. And the only way we could put pressure on them is by setting up a petition. So we're basically asking them to set up a processing camp, support the Libyan border patrol to secure the border, and call upon the EU to process a quota of asylum applications. Meaning, in theory, at some point, everyone in the camp should be placed somewhere. If you're interested to read more about it or even sign it, there's a link in the description. But here's a not so nice opinion. I think if you see an inevitable problem approaching and you do absolutely nothing to solve it, I do not think you should be pointing fingers or blaming others when bodies of dead people wash up on your shores. We are aware that there are other problems at the moment and other displaced people in the world, but these people have been suffering for over 7 years and everyone's been turning a blind eye because there's no enough coverage. So even if you don't agree with the solution, at least try your best to raise awareness your own way. And in the end, I hope this wasn't a very sad video. I really hope that we get this issue sorted, and thank you for watching.